All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ride the XTERRA Northeast Cup in Sugarbush, Vermont. This is a little pre-ride that I did earlier this week with Eric, who's there in the shot, one of the race directors, along with a handful of other guys up in the northeast area. So let's get right into it. As you can see, straight out of transition, we start climbing. And you're gonna be climbing for a long time. Took us about 30 minutes or so to do the majority of the first climb. A lot of slipping, sliding. It was really muddy. That may have been because we were riding in the rain, but it has also been raining there for the past month. So unless something changes, expect the race to be very similar. Sloppy, wet, slippery conditions. One of the things that I wanted to show you with this section of the video is you can see we have to stop and start a lot, and this is all uphill and it's very difficult to get going again. You see, stopping, starting. Expect a lot of this on race day unless it dries up completely. And now we're on to a little bit faster section. This is played at double speed, but you get the same idea, just climbing. Lots of water, lots of mud, really rocky. Again, hop off the bike, slip around, sliding, hop back on, start riding again. You can see from the condition of the camera that there is just water everywhere. One of the things that made a huge difference for us throughout the day is tire choice. One of the guys out there had some slick tires and he was not a happy camper. He was just slipping, sliding, and could not get on his bike. Now what you see I'm doing right here is it was actually so steep I couldn't get back on the bike until I found a flat spot just off to the side. Hopped back on and I was able to get going again. A lot of that going on. There's lots of steep sections where you just can't get back on the bike. So back to tires. When you hit this technical stuff, like right here, rocky, if you have slicks on or anything that's a pretty fast rolling tire, you are all over the place. You need something with big knobs, lots of space in between. Otherwise, just like Matt here in the shot, you're going to be walking a lot. Not to rip on Matt, because we were all walking. There are a couple of places where you get breaks from the steep uphills, but most of the time, for the first section of the trail, you're just going up. As you can see right there, it got pretty tight through that section with a lot of brush along the sides. Got to watch out. There's some rocks hidden in there. You can clip a pedal and end up going down. There's Ken. He had those slick tires and he was not a happy camper. Just walking a lot. You're able to ride this stuff, but it's really key to keep your momentum, because once you lose it, you don't have many chances to get back on the bike. So you end up walking a lot, which you can see here. Now, with all of this talk about uphill, I don't want to discourage everyone. It really is a super fun course. I love riding in the Northeast. It's very different from any other riding around the country. Really wet and rocky and rooty and rough. Very lush forests. It's really fun. We just have a fair amount of climbing right in the beginning of this one. So here's a little bit of a break. Get to ride some more flat to downhill sections. Once you get going through here, you can just rip it. There's lots of mud though, still lots of mud. You got to be careful when going into those corners. If you're running too high a tire pressure, you just slip and slide right out. That being said, if you're running really low tire pressure, there are a lot of rocks out here and you're going to end up with some flats. So depending on whether you're running tubeless or tubed tires, that'll make a big difference at the PSI that you can run. You can see off, on the bike. Lots of that throughout the day. Again, we were riding in a full-on shower, rainstorm. So if it changes over the next week or so, the course will change dramatically from what the locals said. But if it's anything like this, it's gonna be muddy. We're still in the first part of the trail. Unfortunately, the camera didn't last until the end because it took us nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes to ride the whole bike course. That being said, we did stop a lot. We took some breaks and things like that. But I wanted to describe to you the second half of the course. What you're seeing here is all the first part. The second half is really fun. It's a lot like Richmond, twisty, windy, up, down, roots, trees, rocks, all over the place. It's really, really fun riding. That was, especially the second half. That was one of the funnest trails I've done in a long time. You can see riding through here. Still slippery, slippery, slippery. There was a couple of really off-camber places that got a little sketchy. Thought we were going to go down, but we made it just fine. One of the tough things about going fast in this stuff when it's so wet is you can come up on something that's really slick, and if you grab both brakes, you're just going to launch yourself right off the bike. So we were able to go faster on the downhill stuff, but especially like in the grass right here. It got a little sketchy, and you start getting around all these trees and you're just slipping and sliding. So it's fun to go fast in this stuff, but it takes some good bike handling skills. Now here's something you don't see every day. We're riding along and there's all these pipes and tubes and things crisscrossing between the trees, and I'm asking Eric, what the hell is all this stuff? And that is for getting maple syrup. As you look around on the course, we come into a maple syrup tree farm where there's just these tubes and pipes running between all the trees back and forth. Right along here it was fine. The tubes were either high enough up above us or off to the side, but you'll get a preview up ahead here. There's a couple of spots that could be nice little decapitators. One thing I hadn't noticed, I'd hit a tree and I got a leaf stuck in my helmet. Luckily that didn't block the view, but Eric got that out for me. Here's what I was talking about with those pipelines. They're a little low. Duck! And there's another one coming up here in just a second. Duck! And they are all over the place. It was really cool. Kind of creepy, not creepy, but interesting as you rode along. Just something that you're not used to seeing every day. Back into more of the technical stuff. Ride along, quick, fast turning, lots of puddles, lots of slick rocks, slick roots. Lots of fun. So like I said earlier, I wanted to make sure to let you guys know that this is really only the first half of the trail that we've seen so far. The second half does have a couple of quick road sections, and then we finish with a nice little climb, because we haven't had enough climbing yet, up to the T2. This is one of the parts I was talking about where it's really fun, just windy back and forth, sort of like Richmond was out on the bike course. And here we are back into some more of the tight, windy single track. One of the things that I found really helped is when you were doing that climbing in the beginning and at the end, sometimes the trail itself was the slickest spot. If you hopped just off to the side, we're talking 6 inches, you could avoid the really slick rocks and roots, find a little bit more vegetation that gave you a little bit more traction. Didn't have to go real far off the trail, but that was a good little tip to hook up and pass people. Hope you enjoyed all this. I am super excited about this race. I think it's going to be really fun. We'll see you out there in a couple of weeks.